let's talk about engineer boots. For those who follow my channel or has seen my videos, you know that around 1 year ago, I released a video where I review a pair of John Loughren engineer boots. Since then, my interest in this type of boots has deepened, and I built a collection. Also, in the way of building the collection, I realized how difficult it is to pick the right one for you. But before to move to review the boots from my collection, because this is going to be an intro, a video intro to this series of engineer boots, I want to set the basis for this. First, define what is an engineer boot. Second, the history behind of these boots. And the third, how what you need to do to pick the right one for you. First, let's define what is an engineer boot. An engineer boot is a pull-on boot. It's a pull-on boot that is laceless, has two buckles and a stop pipe shaft. This is basically an engineer boot. Some say that can have like this, Boothman heel or a thick heel. This model engineer boot is a Red Wing 2266, which is a fantastic boot. It's one of the best. But when I do a review, I'm gonna tell you why. Let's talk about now the history behind the engineer boot is an American icon. This was developed in USA, and let's start first when it was released, or between what it was the period was released the boot. According to the people who do the research in this type of boot, they say these were start to be released in between 1937 and 1939, and there are two known companies that start to having in the catalog this type of boots. It was Wesco boots and Chippewa boots. But how is the origin of these boots? In theory, what the people find out that this this type of boots come from has military heritage and riding horse heritage. That were a mix of this style of boots, and the American military boots are being the precursors of this type of boots. Then, now, why they are called engineer boots, these pull-on boots? Some people at the beginning was saying because it was designed for railway workers, but there are a lot of researchers that say that is not the case. It's simple to look into the advertising of the boots. When it was start to release and what advertise this boot, aiming to engineering jobs, motorcycle riders, and sportsmen. That means engineer jobs is not just railway workers. Was according to the CEO Wesco, what say this was a selection or choose this type of boots for shipyard welders. That was the requested a lot according to the records of Wesco. Then forget about the railway workers. It's not this aiming to engineering jobs, motorcycle riders and sportsmen. That was initially how it was advertised. And with the time, these pull-on boots changed the name or swapped the name to engineer boots. That was at the beginning of history. But how these boots became an icon. At the beginning, they were very affordable, and these boots were used mainly by workers. But with the change in the culture in USA, was it caused an impact in the teenagers. But how? Through the Hollywood movies. The most important, the most iconic movie that showed the change in the way they was behaving the teenagers and the young people was the Wild One, where the gang of Marlon Brando and Marlon Brando itself were these engineer boots. This movie caused a huge impact in that generation. and they start widespreading and become part of the teenage or younger culture. Also, James Dean and Rebel Without Cause were as well engineer boots. That's two movies that shows that the impact that caused this in the culture at that time. And as a fun fact, there is a movie, a sci-fi movie, that the crew of the spaceship were engineer boots. You can see the picture here, and that is really funny. In the 60s, with the rebellion and the impact of the Vietnam War, the culture changed and immensely, and started to widespread the biker gangs, and then there is a famous article about the rider gang that were and show as a main use engineer boots. Moving forward, in the 90s, in the movie Terminator 2, Arnold Schwarzenegger were engineer boots that were made by for Harley Davidson. This boot caused another impact, and it was a new resurface of the engineer boots at that time. Many people was looking for these boots, and this became an heritage icon for all those people that like heritage style, and is a staple. Most of the people who is fan of this type of fashion, they own at least one or two pairs of engineer boots. There are plenty of reviews in YouTube or in the websites that talking about engineer boots as a really important icon in the wardrobe. Anyway, let's talking about now how pick one or choose one. There is one downside of these boots, which is the fitting. It's not only you need to pick your size using the Brannock, where they tell you only two measurements, which is the length and the width of your foot. Length and the width of your foot. There is a problem with this. Being laceless, this type of boot, you need to consider another measurement, which is the instep. The instep and the volume of your feet mainly, because the lasts are made different. And by example, in my case, I have slim feet, very slim feet, but my Brannock is 12D, then it's not enough if you have a wide. There are some makers would use the D width, but it's not enough for fitting this boot. Then the ideal thing for this is choose the in store, do the try on in store. But nowadays it's difficult because many makers are not well available. It's not, you cannot find this in your near store, despite how widespread are now and how they are resurfing these boots in the fashion. But the main problem with this is the instep, how you get into the boot, and the heel slippage. They are the two main problems, and these problems are related with the volume of your feet. What they recommend, mostly of the websites that sell engineer boots, is that you need to feel tight on the side and with the right length. Tight on the sides of the boot, it's very grab your feet firm, but not everyone can achieve that, because if you have a wide feet or a feet with good volume, with high instep, yes, you can achieve that. But you have, like me, a low instep and flat feet, probably you're gonna have a problem with that. First recommendation, if you can get into the boot, it's not for you, because you have high instep, you need a bigger shaft, or the boot designed with high instep. Their boots are designed that way. The problem is, for example, the Japanese has most of them has low instep design, are tighter because are designed for small feet than the Western feet. And they has a really good design in the heel. When I review the Japanese boot, I'm gonna show you why. But the main problem here is the heel cap and the instep. Some people, in order to get that fit very close to your feet, they go size down. But if you read the reviews, may start to complain that they can use only with thin socks, and because they wrap the toes on the front or in the top of the boot. If that happens, that boot is not for you. Even if you say you're gonna stretch, yes, they can stretch, but on the size or on the top, not in the length. That's very important. And for any boot, at least you need to have 1 or 2 centimeters in the front. I'm gonna explain, when I start reviewing my boots, I'm gonna explain how I achieve my fit, or how I pick and what I look in before to pull the trigger in any boot. But anyway, there are solutions. Yes, there are solutions. For the people who has high instep, need to pick the wider shaft or the higher instep. That is something that the only way to get, if you cannot go to a standard range or shops that they sell engineer boots, or you cannot made to measure boots, need to be careful. You need to read all the reviews and the people how describe the thank of God exists in the websites, Reddit, where you can find the experience of different people with the different type of engineer boots. Also, there is something that sometimes help with the people with fits like mine. No, it's our slim fits and it had not enough volume to fulfill the boot. There are 2 things I found that very useful. Is the tongue pads. This one, top pads, is this is from Pedag. It's really good quality, which I do recommend to use if you have problem. I use in some of my boots this, and the other is replace the insoles with this, another Pedag. In this case, this insole is for low arch, okay? And there are another style which is for high arch. This has solved my problems in most of the boots, and they fix my problem with the fitting. In the other hand, people has high volume, need to be careful. Maybe a boots like whites has more volume, and you can arrange the design of that boot if you make contact with whites or with nicks. That could solve the problem. The problem is very, very, very widespread. Everyone has problem with the fitting, and the bigger question with every pair of foot is how they fit. Okay, so far we have all the information that we need for this video, and the next we're going to start with the review of the Red Wings. See you in the next. Bye.